Hello, hello. I Heart Travel and WLP in DC, Mrs. R. Lloyd. Hey, Chanel. Sent a request to view. Go live.
All right, can you see me? Oh, I'm like kind of cut off. I gotta back up the
Oh, yeah.
camera
Yeah.
a
Hi,
little bit.
cuties. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Ooh,
Good, good.
let's get this
How are
camera
you
set up
doing?
the right way. I'm good. How are you?
Hi, Ayana. It says, wave to everybody. I'm good. So where are you right now?
I'm in Miami. I live in Miami. So I'm originally from the DC area, and I
Okay.
moved about a year
And we don't
ago.
have to start the interview right now. I
Yeah,
was just
yeah,
like, oh, where is she?
yeah. So a year ago I moved down to Miami. So my husband's from here,
hmm
and so I had to move down here.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but we're moving back to the DMV area
Okay.
probably by like the end of the year.
Okay. How do you
So
like Miami?
it's different. I like the weather.
Mm-hmm.
It's really different than DC though.
Oh,
DC is like a really special place, and I didn't realize it until moving away. But like the diversity and just like the excellence that's just all around, like you don't really kind of find that here.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
different, but
Yeah.
I'm happy I moved because I've lived in the DMV like my entire life. So it's
Yeah.
nice to at least I can say I live somewhere else now. So
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I get that. I totally get that. I grew up here in Prince George's County, born and raised. I think the farthest I've ever lived is Crystal City.
right. Yeah, I've moved around a lot in the DMV. I lived in like Northern Virginia for a while, then we moved to Prince George's County, but like never outside of that Virginia area, or I shouldn't say never, but in a
Okay.
while,
hmm
since I was like really little. So
Oh, okay.
it's nice to live somewhere else. We're having a good time. It's nice, like tons of restaurants here. Like I said, the weather is beautiful. So
hmm
I do love that. But I'm ready to get back to the DMV.
Yeah, yeah. What's the what are the rules now right now with COVID and everything? Have they relaxed anything? Have they opened up?
Yeah, so I still work full time. I'm a pharmaceutical sales rep.
Okay.
And I had to go back to work yesterday. So they've opened most things up. Like non-essential is now available to be open.
hmm
So yeah, it's getting there.
Are people nervous?
You know, the energy isn't it, I don't feel a nervous energy like being out and about. Even for me, I was actually surprisingly more calm than I thought I was going to be. I mean, of
Okay.
course I had the gloves and I'm
Right.
spraying down everything when I get in the house, and
Yeah.
like, but the energy isn't like a nervous energy while I'm out, so that
Oh,
was nice.
okay.
Yeah.
How now I just wonder because you're Mel's, that means you're Mel's, who's my sister's niece, cousin. I wonder if you're anything like her. Are you spraying down the groceries before they come into the house, and
So I was
her
already like,
husband have to take off his clothes before
oh,
he
absolutely,
oh
absolutely. The thing is, I was already a germaphobe before this,
okay.
so
So
it's just made it worse at
so
this
it's in your
point.
face.
And like, yeah, like when everyone was rushing out to find Lysol, I'm like, I got Lysol everywhere. I got the mini cans, I got the large cans, I
Oh,
had the wipes,
okay.
I had everything because I'm already a germaphobe. But like, yeah, definitely, like it's taken it to a new level now with this.
Okay.
So yeah, we strip down in the laundry room, like we do all that. I'm spraying everything, and yeah,
Okay.
it's
Oh,
bad.
well.
Literally, my husband's like, this is the worst thing that could have happened for you because you're already like a germaphobe, and
Yeah.
like, so
And
this is just making it worse.
and look, Mel is like, thank you, and laughing. I
Yeah,
I
you're
mean,
not alone.
I'm pretty sure I'm better than I was, but I'm nowhere near a germaphobe. And right now, my husband keeps saying, like I'll have my finger on my face. He's like, you can't keep your hands away from your face. You can't go outside. So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I've been training for this time, I feel like. So
Yeah. So, okay. So we've got a few people on.
Awesome.
Oh, Miss Toya Evans is on.
Yeah. Hi, Mom.
Um, so I want to just go ahead and get started. So, and those who are new to my IG or me, my name is Denise Smith, and I am a small business advocate. I am absolutely a big cheerleader for entrepreneurs, those who are getting started, to those who are continuing to run, and those who want to just continue to grow their businesses. And so, what I decided to do was I wanted to spotlight business owners in and around this area, and I'm while I have an affinity for Prince George's County, I'm looking at all kinds of businesses in the DMV, and so today the spotlight of the week. We're going to be talking to a very special guest. I guess by marriage, she's actually my family, but we're talking to Chantel. Chantel Grant.
Chanel. Chanel.
I'm sorry. You know
It's
what? I'm
okay.
thinking of. I keep. I'm sorry. Chanel Grant.
Yes.
And she is a serial entrepreneur. So I've been told, and it seems to run in the family. So what I wanted to, Chanel, thank you for coming on today.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, yeah. I hear you have a lot of good stuff going on. So why don't you, can you just go ahead and just tell us what's going on with the business that, or the businesses that you have going on, and the entrepreneurial spirit that you are. Tell us about Chanel and your family business.
For sure. So as you mentioned, my name is Chanel. And I'm in business with my mom and my sister. We own a business called Healthy Living Ventures. And we have franchises of Tropical Smoothie Cafe and Hand and Stone Massage and Facial. And we most recently expanded into being franchisees with Choice Hotels as well. So just kind of to backtrack a little bit, just kind of how we got started or where this all came from.
Mhm.
My sister and I watched my mom and dad develop and be entrepreneurs for our entire life, literally, like since I can remember. Like my first memories is seeing them as entrepreneurs. So I kind of always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. My mom tells me this story that I was like 5 at one point, and I'm like, I don't want to work for anybody, and I want to
Mhm.
own my own stuff. So like I think it was just kind of born into like my sister and I just from watching them in business. And so maybe I guess it was like 2015. My sister and my mom and I were like, hey, like let's get back into a business. Let's do something together. And so we just kind of started thinking like what was important to us, what spoke to us, and that's how we came across like things that just involve like healthy living. So our business name is Healthy Living Ventures. And
Okay.
so all the business models that we are looking at, they kind of all fall under like that healthy lifestyle,
Mhm.
wellness. You know,
Mhm.
that was important to us. And specifically, I mentioned earlier that I moved from like Northern Virginia. So we spent probably 10, 15 years in Northern Virginia. And then my mom moved to Prince George's County. And so when we moved there, we're like, where are the smoothies? Where's like the healthy food options? We would have to drive to like Annapolis to get a massage, or you'd have to go into the city, like into DC. And so we just started to notice that there was like a lack of healthy food options in Prince George's County and just like amenities. And
Mhm.
so that is really like the motivation behind, us starting Tropical Smoothie in Prince George's County. And now we'll be the first Hand and Stone Massage and Facial in Prince George's County as well.
Okay. Hand
That
and
was a long answer,
Yeah,
but
sure, sure. And Hand and Stone is a full service.
it's a
Uh,
membership-based spa. Yep,
oh,
and it'll be in Brandywine, Maryland.
okay, okay,
hmm
for
So we're
sure.
hoping to open that like the beginning of September. Construction is starting, and yeah, ball's
Okay,
rolling there.
okay. And before we get to my next question, tell me that email address again, because I want to see if I can learn how to pin it.
Okay, so it's Healthy Living Ventures with an S. Healthy Living Ventures at gmail.com.
com. Okay. I think okay. So if I post it, if somebody can maybe help me out and tell me how to pin something, because this is.
I see the post down there,
Yeah.
and that's right.
Wonder if I can.
Pin it.
Oh, here it is. I just did it. Okay. Perfect.
Perfect. Yes.
Okay. So just so you know, as we're going through the conversation, this is how you can get in touch. Our company, but we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. So there's going to be a time in the conversation where, or if you have any questions at all, please feel free to just type them in, and I'll let Chanel know, and she can answer them for you as well. Okay. So we have tropical smoothie. Where's the tropical smoothie?
So we opened our very first location in October of 2016. That's in Bowie. And then we actually recently opened our second location during COVID on May 9th.
Okay.
And that's in Landover Hills. And then we have a third location coming that should be open in the next 30 to 60 days. And that's at Andrews Air Force Base. So that'll be our first non-traditional location with Tropical Smoothie. So that'll make our third.
So you're just a regular franchisee.
Yes. Now
a cereal
yes.
franchisee.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about that. Okay. How do you get into franchising, and how do you know which company or store you want to franchise? Am I wording that correctly?
Yeah. So the process in like a very high level, point of view is you really just have to figure out what's right for you. You have to decide kind of what investment level you're willing to make. Obviously, like different brands, some cost $250,000 to start, and some are like $1 million. So like you have to kind of see where you are on that scale and what you're willing to invest, what interests you. So like I mentioned before, we started with what interests us. Like we knew that we wanted to provide healthy food options, lifestyle options to our community. And so that was like our starting place. And then we listed out brands. Okay, what does that entail? We looked at like gyms and spas, obviously, which we ended up, settling on, and different food brands and things like that. So I think that's a really great starting point. Is just like, what are you interested in?
Okay.
You're going to spend a significant amount of time in your business, and you want to make sure that you're picking a brand that you're genuinely interested in. You want to look at like that investment level and what you're willing to make. And then also not even just from like a monetary investment, but you want to look at like a time investment. So every different business model is going to require something different of you. So like Tropical Smoothie is pretty involved. We're there, pretty often. But after talking to some owners at Hand and Stone, they've said that like, once the business is ramped up and, you've kind of hit your break even point and your business is good, some owners say they haven't been to their spa in 3 months. Okay. So, you kind of want to look at, when you're looking at the different business models, you want to look at kind of what is it going to require of me and what type of time do I have to put into it? Okay. There's several different factors, but I would say like the top factors to look at is like, how much can you invest, or how much do you want to invest, and how much, not just monetary, but your time, and then what truly interests you. Okay. I would say are like really good starting places.
Okay. So let's talk about money, because, at the end of the day, you got to have it, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, the one I have asked a lot of people, a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, even a lot of lenders, what's the hardest thing, or what's your biggest challenge for small business owners, and the number one answer that I come up with is funding and getting access to it. Nobody well, let me not say that. I don't know too many people, if any at all, that have $250,000 in the bank or $1 million in the bank. So you clearly are going to have to get the money somewhere, and that's going to be in loans and things like that. Was that a challenge for you all?
100%.
Okay.
Not gonna sugarcoat it. It was.
Okay. Mhm.
But the great part about it is that there's so many avenues to make something happen. And I'll
Mhm.
say that we definitely got very creative with our first location. It was not like cookie cutter where I think most business owners would just, have a business plan, they have a pro forma, they have a plan, and they take that to the bank and they potentially can get like SBA lending or something along those lines. And
Okay.
it may be a little bit easier, but for us, our path was like this to get to our first location.
Yeah.
But the encouraging part is that you don't have to have a perfect background or a perfect history or anything like that to make something happen. There's traditional funding, there's non-traditional funding, and there are a million and one ways to get super creative and make
Mhm.
it happen. And I
Mhm.
always say that like getting your first location is the hardest. Like we heard no from, several different lenders, like because we were a new business, even though you're a franchise, you yourself, like Healthy Living Ventures is considered a new business. And
Mhm.
so because of that, some lenders just weren't comfortable with lending to us. But I always say, like, do whatever it takes to get that first store open,
Okay.
because now we have lenders calling us like, oh, do you need funding for the
Oh,
third store that I
oh
mentioned? And we're
wow.
like,
Uh-huh.
oh, now you want to fund to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You weren't
Mhm.
there in 2015, but they're reaching out to us now. So you just have to, don't take no for an answer. Know that there are so many options out there,
Mhm.
and every different lending option is going to have different down payment requirements and things like that. But just keep pushing if you hear no, and know that there's back ways, there's sideways, there's a way. Is
Okay.
basically what I'm saying.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So before we move on, someone named Self Made, but it has
Oh
an S.
yeah.
He says he just wants to say how proud I am watching Chanel and her family absolutely kill it in the franchise game as well as community development. Looking forward to seeing how far y'all go. Much love.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So when you're going into franchising and you're going to these lenders or whatever source of funding you can go to, do you have to have a business plan
100.
for, because isn't it to me, so I'm just wondering, does the franchise industry or area, isn't it already cookie cutter ish? Is there a plan that you can just kind of adjust? Do you have to have your own creative business plan, if you get what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely will have to create your own business plan,
Okay.
because they can give you like the averages of, what most stores are making, or,
Mhm.
things of that nature. But there's so many factors that are going to be unique only to you, which is like, how much is your rent, or
Mhm.
what is the cost of labor in your area, things like that, or what were your startup costs, how much is your franchising, or I'm sorry, financing fees and things like
Okay.
that. So you definitely will have to make a business plan that is specific to your business. And every lender is going to require that.
Okay.
And also they're going to want to see a pro forma, which is, your projections. How do you think you'll do in year 1, year 2, year 3?
Okay.
So yeah, they're going to definitely want to see all that.
Okay. And that requires research on your part when you,
For sure.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. But so are there, well, wait a minute. We have a question from it's from Benita. Hey, Benita. Benita and I used to work in the county exec's office in Prince George's County together. She wants to know, are there franchises that you would recommend for those of us interested in franchising? And so I'll pass that on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are familiar with Tropical Smoothie Cafe. I always recommend that. I speak very, very highly of the brand. It's an awesome brand. We've had a great experience with them. So I always, recommend Tropical Smoothie. But I think it just is going to depend on the person and what you're interested in, because some people might be completely turned off by food and they're like, no way, I want no parts. I think you just have to do your due diligence on the brand, make sure that it meets all your criteria, personally, financially. But, we're involved with Tropical Smoothie and Hand and Stone. So far, we've had great experiences with those 2 franchises, and
Mm-hmm.
also with Choice Hotels. We've had a great experience with them. But hotels, spas, and food might not be of any interest to you. So
Okay.
in that case, you just have to kind of do your due diligence and find a brand that makes sense for you. And it's
Okay.
very specific for each entrepreneur.
Okay. What are some networking and support services? I'm sure that, there are organizations out here that can help you along the way, sort of like chambers of commerce that, but, I'm sure that they're more specific to the franchise area. What kind of organizations exist to help you out in that area?
So that's like a very loaded question because there's a lot. um, but I would say a great place to start, like they have a lot of franchising expos that
Okay.
they'll do now. They recently had a virtual one because of COVID, but that's like a really good place to start. I think like if you're just like, what do I want to own? And I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of different brands that you can get involved with. But they
Okay.
have expos where you can kind of go talk to the different brands, see what
Mhm.
that initial investment cost is, and different things like that. So I would say like that's a great resource. But from like a business standpoint, there's resources like Score, which is really great. They can provide you with a mentor. There's a
Did you all
whole host.
did you all take advantage of a mentor?
So not from Score, no. Luckily, my mom is our mentor, so we're blessed in that. She
Okay.
literally, like I was saying, she's been an entrepreneur since I've been alive and even before I was alive. So, we had her as our mentor. So in this case, we did not utilize a mentor from Score.
Uh-huh.
And I'm trying to think, I don't think we went to one of the franchise expos. I don't think we went to, because we kind of knew exactly what space we wanted to be in.
Okay.
But yeah, so.
Okay, so what about your mom? Did she have a mentor? Everybody needs a mentor. That's what I think, right?
So we had mentors though. I'm just saying we didn't go through Score.
Okay,
And
that's
when
fine.
I say mentors, one of the things that, I would always suggest that folks do when they're
Mhm.
looking at a brand is to reach out to, like other franchise owners that are within that brand. And a lot of times, they're very helpful and they may become your mentor.
Okay.
Or just different conferences, attending different conferences is a great way to connect with other entrepreneurs. We've done that specifically in the hotel space now. When I'm talking like Choice Hotels, we absolutely need a mentor in that. That is a
Okay.
much larger investment. And
Sure.
like a couple of years ago when we were new in the industry, what we did was start to attend a NABHOOD is what it's called. So it's a conference for African-American hotel owners. And
Okay.
there we met a ton of mentors. So I would suggest that's another, avenue is attending conferences
Mhm.
that are specific to that industry. And you can
Mhm.
meet a ton of super helpful people, at those conferences as well.
Okay, I have a question from Mrs. R. Lloyd. How long did it take for you to start your first tropical smoothie from business plan to open?
Ooh, I
Good
would
question.
say,
Right?
yeah, I'm trying to think. Toya, you're on here. When did we sign the franchise deal? I know we opened October 2016, and I know that the process started in 2015, but I don't know
Mm-hmm.
the actual like timeline of it.
Okay.
She might answer in the comments if she knows
Okay.
how.
Sure.
I
I'll
don't
look
know
for that.
if she knows
I'll look
how.
for that.
Okay, look for it. But I mean, it's gonna vary. Like one of the things that I felt like it took a while. I want to say like maybe like 18 months or so.
Okay.
But one of the things that kind of played into that, yeah, Lauren just said almost 2 years, I believe. So yeah, I mean, it was a good amount of time. But we also chose okay, so Toya just said October 15th, we signed the franchise agreement and we opened October of 2016. So,
Oh, okay. Okay.
But what I was going to say was we chose a location that was a brand new shopping center. So that added a much more time onto kind of like the process.
Okay.
Whereas with our Hand in Stone, we're choosing a second generation space, which basically means that something was already there. It's not, it's turning from a gym to a spa.
Okay.
And those type of deals typically transact a lot faster than obviously if they have to build an entire shopping center from the ground up.
Okay.
So that added to our development time. And the same thing happened with our second store. It was a brand new shopping center as well. So that felt like it just took like a lot longer. But again, the entire shopping center had to be built. So
could you walk us through maybe from a 10,000 foot perspective, because obviously every detail would take more than the time that we have on the side. Sure. The process from start to kind of finish, business plan, loan, this, can you walk us through the process?
So from like a super high level, I would say, figuring out what type of brand you want to be involved with. And then from that point, you would kind of start conversations with the brand. A lot of times, one of the first things they're going to want you to do is fill out an application, and they're vetting you to make sure that you can even get this deal done in a sense. So they'll ask questions like your net worth and, your experience and different things like that. From there, you'll kind of start to interview them as well. You'll go for various different meetings with the brand, and they'll send you something called the FDD, which is a 400 something page document that tells you every single thing you need to know about the brand. And then from there, you sign the franchise agreement. Okay. And usually the brand will have like a real estate, like development team member that will kind of help you start to find or vet locations. Some brands have it, some brands don't. And, but in that case, then you would start looking for a location. Then you would start conversations with your landlord or your potential landlords. And you would need to figure out, your lease space. And then from there, construction. And there's a ton of steps that are like weaved in between all of that. Sure. But like from a very high level, that's kind of what it would look like, narrowing down your list, get in contact with the brands. And I would say, honestly, like, even if it's a brand that's far, let's say it's something that is like a really big investment level, I would say like jump out there and still get in contact with them, because that's something that we did. I want to say we reached out to Choice Hotels in 2015. This is before we ever even opened up a tropical smoothie. So we were not ready to like move in that direction in any way, shape, or form. But like we reached out because we wanted to know like, what does it take? And how can you prepare for something, or how can you move towards a goal if you don't, am I back? Okay. Yep. If you don't know, how much it's going to take, or, what that looks like. So I would say, even if you feel like maybe you're not ready to have a conversation with the brand, reach out to them, figure it out. Maybe you are getting your money together, or you're fixing your credit, or you're doing something like that. But like jump out there, reach out to them. Most brands are willing to talk to you. And at least you then know, okay, this is what I need to get ready to be able to move forward. So that's something I would suggest to aspiring entrepreneurs.
Okay, I'm going to go back for this one question from Lanita Hostin. She's asking about funding as well. Did you guys already? Okay, so yes, we did discuss it just a little bit. How much is the initial investment? And I remember you saying that it really depends on the brand.
Yeah, it just depends.
But I think some people just want to know a number, right?
Yeah.
What which brands cost the most? Which ones are more affordable? Because some people don't even look at it as affordable, but it's a mindset. I know that you got to just change and get into, because
that's a tough question, because it's all relative. I mean, there could be a franchise that maybe is only like $10,000 to get involved in, but what's the revenue? Like,
right.
It's all relative. So
yeah.
And every brand is going to be so different. I mean, some franchise fees range from like $5,000 to we've seen $40,000. So there's it's a huge range. You just have to kind of look at, like I said, like what industry, what brands you may be interested in, and just start to reach out to them and see, what that investment level might be.
Okay. Mel Sproul is asking, how do you choose a location?
Ooh, that's loaded. It's a loaded question, but sometimes the brand will help direct you, and they'll tell you kind of like best practices. So specifically, like for Tropical Smoothie, they tell us be near other food places. So like both of our stores are near the Starbucks and different food places like that,
So
or
why
any
why why would they tell you to be near other food places?
because they're looking to draw, like if you have similar demographics with like Chick-fil-A is a big one that we want to be near. So the
Okay.
Chick-fil-A customer is similar to a Tropical Smoothie customer, so that's why
Oh,
you want to be near it so you guys can share customers.
okay.
Like our first store is near a Harris Teeter, which is it's an anchor store. That's another suggestion of our brand with Tropical Smoothie is to be near a big anchor. So like the
Mm-hmm.
brand will kind of they'll help you guide you in like
Okay.
what location to choose, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of factors that go into kind of how to choose a location.
Okay. And we were talking about mentors. Well, will the brand itself provide, kind of attach itself to you or assign a mentor to you?
Um, I can't say like indefinitely because every
Hmm.
brand is really different. So Tropical Smoothie is very supportive, super
Okay.
supportive. They help from like A to Z. But from my understanding, there's other brands that aren't necessarily like A to Z. They kind of give you the nuts and bolts and you figure it out kind of type of thing.
Okay.
So I can't speak indefinitely for every brand. But I think you kind of find your own mentors in a way. If you reach out to some of the other franchisees in the brand, a lot of them are super helpful and they'll help and
Yeah.
things like that. So
I have another question. What type of marketing do you believe drives the most for your business?
so I think it's going to depend on the business, but like for a tropical smoothie specifically, we use a variety of marketing tools. Honestly, we still use like snail mail. That still works. We're doing a mailer actually right now that drops
Mhm.
next week for our
Okay.
brand new store in Landover Hills. That still works. It still brings people in the doors.
Hmm.
Um, of course, like social media and things of that nature. But I think the main thing is, I mean, yeah, mailers work. And through our co-op, which is like the group of all the other franchisees in the area, we'll
Hmm.
do like radio advertisements. But I think what type of marketing is going to just really depend on the type of business.
Okay. And when you say co-op, how does that work? If it's a network of other franchises,
Mm-hmm.
even
Well, all of the other tropical smoothies in the DMV
oh,
area are
okay.
part of a group where we put, a certain percentage of marketing dollars into a pot, and then we decide how we want to distribute that.
Okay.
So it could be TV, it could be radio, it could be,
Hmm.
sponsorship at an event or something along those lines. But we kind of
Hmm.
decide what makes most sense for our local market.
Okay. So what are some lessons that you've had to learn throughout the process of being a franchise?
Um, a lot, but I would say the biggest one is just patience. As I think, someone else asked, like, how long does it take?
Hmm.
You can always, I could tell you, oh, it's going to take a year, and then it could take a year and a half or 2 years. But, I say patience is like the biggest thing. This is a big investment. And so it is something that's going to take a lot of patience, but it's worth it in the end. So that's definitely something that I learned. I would say that's a big one.
Okay. I have a question. So before I really got into tropical smoothie, which I go to now, um, what's the other one called, Mel? What's the name of the one that's over there by you? I know, and
I
we
don't
won't
even know
mention
what
it.
you're talking
We
about.
won't mention it, right? We won't mention the name, but but so how let's just say somebody wanted to do a smoothie place, and did you look at other smoothie brands? And if so, what made you
We did.
choose this tropical?
So we did. We reached out to several other smoothie brands, some of which didn't get back to us. So that obviously automatically took them out of the picture. And then for those that did get back to us, we wanted to find out, well, for one, Tropical Smoothie was the only brand that had food as well, which we liked the
Okay.
idea of that because obviously in the DMV area it gets cold, and we didn't
Okay.
want to see like a huge dip in our sales during the winter months. So that food helps sustain it. So that was a big deciding factor. But even more than that, the people at Tropical Smoothie, they sold us. Like they're amazing.
Okay.
When we reached out, they immediately got back. The salesperson talked to my mom for like an hour about the brand
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And then I think like 2 weeks later, we were at lunch with them. Like me, my mom, and my sister were at lunch with representative from Tropical Smoothie, and so like that. Honestly, the brand sold itself in a sense, and I think that's another important like little tip for everybody. Like you really want to just like investigate the brand and like see who you're going to be working with,
Mm-hmm.
and like their integrity, their everything, like their energy around the brand, all that sold us. And I think we were like signing a franchise agreement not that long after those
Okay.
conversations. So yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's good. That's good. So, are there any? Can you talk about some do's and some don'ts? You know, what to do and what not to do.
With franchising,
Yeah.
um, I'm sorry because these are like it's kind of loaded. It's like there's a lot of do's, there's a lot of don'ts. I would say do when you're maybe franchising, or is that what you're asking?
Well, yes. When you're in it, you've chosen your brand. What are some, if you have made some mistakes along the way and you say, oh, okay, I know never to do that again.
Um, I'll say like maybe when you're first getting in it, like some do's, because I'm trying to think of like once you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty much like a blueprint. So you really have there's not too many like ways you can go left or right. It's a straight line. They give you this plan and you kind of just do it. So like once you're inside the system, I would say like before you're in the franchise system, um, do your due diligence, do your research, find a mentor or a consultant. Definitely like seek counsel. There, you definitely want to get attorneys in on this. You're signing a deal that's like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes 10 to 20 years long. So you definitely want, counsel and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would say don't be in a rush. Like I mentioned earlier, like patience is the key. So I would definitely be patient with the process.
Mm-hmm.
And then you really just need to figure out like, is franchising right for you? Like I mentioned, it's a blueprint. So if you want to like get super creative and make up your own smoothie recipe or something like that, like franchising is not for you because they give you all the recipes, they give you all the promotions. You are not like getting super creative with this, So like I think you just need to, before getting into it, you definitely want to make sure that you're willing to and open to following a model 100%.
Okay.
So that's what I would say.
I was waving to some people and apparently I must have hit the button that turns the camera around. So I'm finding it. I'm trying to find it. So, but you mentioned something. You mentioned something that I thought was very important. If I could just find this. Oh, maybe I have to go back up here. Is that it? Okay, sorry. Here I am. You mentioned signing an agreement that could be for however long, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that because if you're signing an agreement, let's just say it's for how long are the agreements for, and then what happens after that term is up?
So it's a range. Every brand is going to be different, but it could be anywhere from like 10 to 15 years.
Hmm.
And once that's up, you can ask for a renewal, and then it's at the brand's discretion to, continue the relationship or not.
Okay, so the agreement is for you to either stay in the business or after you can get out of it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you're going to be launching a course,
Yes.
and it starts
Yes, yes.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow at
Okay.
9 a.m.
Okay.
Yes. So we're super excited about this.
So let's talk.
And
Tell them about
we developed this course because we get so many questions. If I post like, oh, new store opening, or like the development of the store, or like anything like that, people are like, oh, how'd you get started? Where'd you find funny? The same questions that are coming up, right now during our live. And
it.
so we're like, we absolutely should put this information in one space where folks can go get all of the information that they need to feel more confident about, getting into franchising. So we launched the course tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Okay.
And it's 10 modules, and it answers literally a lot of the questions that were asked tonight, but obviously in extensive details, where to start, how to choose the right brand, where to find funding, how to write the business plan, the pro forma, all of those different topics. It will be, covered. And then we have different downloads that folks will be able to download, templates for your business plan, template for your pro forma, to really get you ready to go in front of these brands and then also go in front of lenders. So it's called So You Want to Buy a Franchise is the course.
I'm
and like I said,
up.
tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Okay.
We're super excited.
Okay. And how do you sign up?
So if we've been collecting emails, so you can DM me your email and I'll add you to the list and you'll get the information tomorrow at 9 a.m. Or you can shoot us an email at healthylivingventures@gmail.com. And the other thing I want to mention was, in addition to the actual course, we're also offering consulting packages as well. So let's say you take the course and you're like, okay, that was great information, but I still want that mentorship, as you were mentioning, throughout our live. We have a package where we can take you from just an idea, concept, all the way to your grand opening, or maybe you just need a couple of hours. There's packages for that. So there's a wide variety. You can kind of like get in where you fit in, or from, what you need. And yeah, we're super excited to mentor, other entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs.
Okay. Okay. This is really great information. I want to thank you for coming on here. I do want to touch on the subject because we're in the time of, having to adjust in a new way of living, hopefully not for long, but I don't think anyone is expecting for everything to go back to exactly the way it used to be. Has the coronavirus crisis affected your businesses, and especially since you just said that you were able to open a store during this time?
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit, what your experience has been?
For sure. So it definitely has affected our business. We are grateful that we were considered essential, because it's food. So we were able to stay open and still provide our employees with a job and hours. And so we're really, really grateful for that. We didn't have to lay off anyone, which is a blessing. But I mean, it's definitely affected sales. We saw a dip in, like, especially in the beginning of kind of when COVID was going on, but we have been able to stay open. We were blessed enough to be able to actually open a new store during this time, which is, is interesting times, but it's great because we were able to provide, 30 plus jobs in a community during a time where most people are getting laid off.
Okay.
And we're actually hiring. So like there's some good, I'm a positive person, so I'm finding the good in, all situations. And like the good is that we have applications, like probably 100 plus that come through every week. And we're able to offer, employment right now during this time.
Yes.
So that's been a true blessing, but it's definitely affected the business. But all in all, I mean, our employees are still getting their hours and things like that. So we're grateful for that.
Okay, so your location, let's look at your location in Bowie, and then you have a location in Landover Hills. So is there some sort, have you done any comparison, like I'm sure that you've lost business, a certain amount of business in Bowie, but have you been able to compare the amount of business that you've still been able to maintain in Bowie versus the new store?
Do you mean based on COVID?
Yes.
So your question is, one
So
more time.
so I guess and I know it may be a little bit hard because the Landover store is just opening, but maybe if you look back at your, and the reason why I'm asking is because it's the demographic there is a bit different, and you know, are you able to, have you been able to compare maybe from when the Bowie store first opened versus just now opening another store in COVID-19? Um, uh, has there been a difference in, or what has been the difference in, you know, ramping up the business for the Bowie store at that time versus opening up a new store during this time?
I'll say that we're definitely surprised with the opening. I mean, we had a very, very strong opening at
Mm-hmm.
Landover, and Landover is doing better than what Bowie did.
Okay.
And it could be for various different reasons. One, it could be brand recognition.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were the 5th store
Mm-hmm.
to open in Maryland in Bowie in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, who knows what the reason is, but Landover is definitely, it's a higher performing store so far.
Okay.
Than Bowie, but who knows, you know.
Okay. Okay. All right. And there is another question here by B. Greg.
I saw a bunch of questions come through.
Yeah. And we'll get to them. Can you explain how you balance this with a full-time job? Would you recommend that?
Yeah, so when we first opened our first store, my mom, my sister, and I were all working full time. And the balance, it was just a grind at that time, honestly. Like, we would go into the cafe before work, go to work, and then come to the cafe after work, close the cafe, and then like go to sleep and do it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just say that it was like that in the beginning. It doesn't last forever. And I guess would I recommend it? I think it would just depend on the person, the type of partners you had, the type of business model. I think it depends on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't regret doing it now because obviously now we've moved from 1 store to 3 in the next, 60 days.
Sure.
So I definitely don't regret putting in, that sacrifice, but it definitely was more difficult, for sure.
Okay.
And I also think it depends on the type of job you have. My job is really flexible because I'm in outside sales.
Okay.
But if you had like a very structured job where you had to be in the office, you can't leave, that's something to consider.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If you are considering partnering with someone on a franchise endeavor, what are some considerations they should think about?
Definitely, like a shared vision, of course. Like with every relationship, you're gonna want a shared vision. I would just make sure that you all are on the same page as far as work ethic. I say that with like any partnership, make sure that you all are going to be putting in, the same amount of energy. And if not, make sure that that is said up front, that those expectations are set. There's a lot of things to consider too, as far as like ownership. How are you going to divide that up?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of considerations, I would say.
Okay.
In picking a partner. I mean, you think that's like a marriage, so
right.
The same amount of like energy and time that you put into finding who you want to marry is pretty much the same energy I would say you'd want to put into like who you want to do partnerships with,
Yeah. Yeah, because there are partnership agreements and things that are going to.
Oh yeah. And I mean, you guys are going to sign on leases where your house is up for grabs, literally, with the place where you lay your head can be taken if you don't pay these bills, loans where so there's just so many implications of that. You definitely want to make sure that it's the right person, that you guys are going to be putting in that same sweat equity, because in the beginning, it oftentimes is a good amount of sweat equity. So
were you able to see, or how long did it take you to be able to start to see profits?
So the great part with this business model is that once we put the initial injection in, we have not had to put more money into our business. Okay. So the business has been sustaining itself, which is a blessing. And that's not always the case, depending on the business model. But for us, we have not had to put any additional cash into the business.
Okay.
So
Sounds good. Sounds good. Does it take a team of 3 people? Wait a minute. I didn't want to make, I must have waved at somebody. Sorry. Does it take a team of 3 people? Would you recommend do you recommend partners?
no, I don't think it takes a team of 3. There's like several different other business owners. Some people are by themselves, it's just them. Some it's like a husband and wife, so it's 2 people. I don't think that it takes a team. I personally am very grateful for the team that I have. I'm happy. I love having business partners. I think that like obviously like an example is that COVID just happened, or it's happening, excuse me. And Toya is local to Bowie in the Maryland area. I live in Miami and my sister lives in Richmond. So we weren't able to travel during this time. And me specifically, I'm pregnant now. So I definitely didn't want to get on a plane or anything.
Sure.
And so you think about situations, by the way. Thank you. And you think about situations like this, and it really speaks to like the power of partnership. Because I wasn't able to travel. I actually missed like our soft grand opening because I wasn't able to travel, but my mom was able to hold down this whole thing, you know, do the grand opening. And so there's times where life can happen or COVID can happen. And like, you know, that's when it's really powerful to have your business partners. And then of course, like the way that we run our business is we split up the business in different pieces. So I'm in sales and marketing. That's what I love to do. So I handle all things sales and marketing. Okay. My sister is great with people. She's great with, you know, training and hiring and things of that nature. So she runs all of the HR sides of things. And then my mom, as I mentioned, she's local to Bowie. She's incredible with just project management and those type of things. And so she runs all of the operational side of the business. So I think that yes, Toya is the GOAT. Yes, I agree, Mel. So I would say that to say that like the blessing in a partnership is that you're able to kind of divide out the business to speak to everyone's strength as well. But again, it's just got to be the right type of partner.
Sure, sure. And then when it comes to COVID-19, what things have you put in place to make sure that your employees are safe and that your customers are safe?
Oh yeah. We put a lot of things in place. So of course we closed down the dining room. Immediately we closed down the dining room. We have like little spots on the floor to help observe social distancing. We immediately got sneeze guards for our cashiers in front of the cashier so that there's blockage there. There's no contact with our orders. And of course we already wore gloves because we're in food. And we provided all of our staff with masks, and we're checking temperatures. I mean, we're doing everything that you could possibly do to help keep them safe, and of course, our customers as well. Okay.
So, so we know what's next. I mean, because what's next coming is what's the name of the stone and massage?
Hand and Stone Massage and Facial. Yeah.
Hand and Stone, which I plan to be one of the first customers.
Please do.
And you are going to be opening a hotel. That's fabulous. So that's what's next. So you guys are really just doing the damn thing. I mean, quite frankly.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you, and I just met you. But the last thing I just want to ask, because I know we're running out of time, is just if you have any just quick, surefire, just some quick tips or something, anybody who's thinking about just jumping out there, you know, I would say the number one thing would be to take your course. So I'll start it off.
There you go.
and then you can just give us 2 or 3 more things that people can just, you know, if they're thinking about jumping out there, just some quick tips.
Definitely join the course, but I would say join the course, get the education, you know, before you just jump out there and do something, you know, get educated. I would say do it scared is like the advice that I like to give a lot of people, because you're not going to always, you know, feel 100% like you're ready for something. But you just have to jump. And well, my favorite quote is leap and the net will appear. I have that like as the background on my phone, and it's
I
been
like,
that way for like a
like
couple years.
it.
But you have to sometimes do that. It's very scary. You're like literally, like I said, you sign on these dotted lines and you're saying like, if I don't pay this, come take my condo and my this, you know, like, so you're signing up for like so much. And so a lot of times I remember we would be like sitting around a table and we're all looking at each other. We're like, y'all sure you want to do this? And my mom is like, yeah, we're doing this. And we're like, okay. Like, but I mean, it's definitely like going to be scary, but I just say do it scared. Leap in the net will appear. Get the education for sure, and just do it. If you find, you know, if you've done your due diligence, you have the education, you have the resources, you know, that you need to move forward, do it. And the hardest part, as I mentioned earlier in the live, is getting the first location open. But after that first location is open, there are so many opportunities that just kind of fall in your lap. Like at this point, there's brands that reach out to us like, hey, have you thought about us? And would you be interested in opening, you
Wow.
know, a location here, here, or here? And we're like, no, we hadn't thought about it, but tell us more. And, you know, luckily, there's a lot of incentives also that I would mention, whether it's for women or whether it's for minorities. And so, you know, looking, or veterans, that's another option. So, you know, looking into brands that will also give you like incentives to help get you in the door.
Okay.
Is huge. And there's so many resources out there. There's just make it happen, I guess, is my advice. Like if you want to do it, but do it educated. So make sure that you're getting the education before you sign on some dotted lines. So
Well, that sounds great. I want to thank you again for coming on and talking to me and having this conversation. It's been
of
helpful.
course.
I know that it's been helpful to all the people that are on. If you want to know more, the email address is pinned. I learned how to pin on the IG Live. It's healthylivingventures@gmail.com. Don't forget to sign up on sign up for the class because it starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'm
9
checking
a.m.
myself. So,
Yes.
and I'll be talking to you guys some more. You know, so don't think this is gonna be the last time you're gonna hear from me, okay?
Well, please don't. You have my number, so just give me a call.
Thank you. This has been really fun.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Well, y'all have a good evening. It was very nice seeing everybody. And don't forget to listen, if you're here, I'm gonna have I'm gonna be spotlighting a small business owner every Tuesday at 8 p.m. So feel free to join in. If you know somebody or if you are a business owner yourself that has some good nuggets to drop, please send me a DM and we can talk.
Awesome. And don't forget to save this. You told me to remind you. So
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah.
all right. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody. I
All
appreciate it. I'm looking at all the comments. I'm like, oh, thank you.
I know. You're fabulous is what they're saying. So.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right. Good night, y'all.
Good night. Take care, everybody.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm going to end this now because hopefully I can learn how to save it so it can go on my IG so that everybody can come back and look in case you missed it and you're just joining in. Bye. Are you sure you want to end the video? End now.